Start recording. Bet. Alright, we active. So, I'm about to be reacting to some videos and then play some games a little bit later. Right now, we're about to react to every NBA urban legend ever explained. Or, I'm not sure ever, just NBA urban legends explained in 28 minutes. Hopefully, I hear about some stories I've never heard of. That's the goal for real. Oh, hold up. I got this all zoomed in. Let me fix this real quick. Oh wait. Dog, it's the videos is start zoomed in. I'm thinking it's me. We should be good.
This one took off fast. Literally. Back in early January of 2011, during a routine flight from Los Angeles to Memphis, things turned less first class and more like a low-budget brawl. It started with a card game called Boo-Ray, where Mayo lost around $7,500 to Allen. Instead of just taking the L, Mayo got mouthy. He refused to pay up and started running his mouth, bragging about being a higher draft pick and acting like Allen should be lucky to share the court with him. That went on for about 15 minutes. 15 full minutes. Even Zach Randolph tried to get in between and cool things down, but Mayo just kept going. Allen tried walking away, probably hoping Mayo would just chill. But nope, when he came back,
there we go.
Mayo was still at it. That's when Allen snapped. He decked Mayo in the face and followed it up with a flurry to the mouth, shoulder, and the side of his head. Mayo tried swinging back, but it was a failed attempt. Teammates jumped in before
Jose Mayo.
The team responded by fining Allen and banning gambling during any team activity. Both guys came out saying they were good and even practiced together shortly after. Whether
Battle of Mid
it out is a mystery, but what's real is that after this blow-up, the team's chemistry flipped. They went from 16 and 19 to 46 and 36.
Battle of Mid went from below mid to mid, top of mid.
A fire under that locker room. Trade your star, get the first pick. When a team trades away a franchise star and then stumbles into the top pick, fans don't just raise eyebrows. They start crafting.
This just happened.
In 2012, the New Orleans Hornets sent Chris Paul packing to the Clippers. Not long after, they snagged the first overall pick with less than a 14% chance. That alone had folks suspicious, but it got worse. At the time, the NBA actually owned the Hornets. Yeah, the league had just blocked a Chris Paul trade to the Lakers, claiming basketball reasons, and then boom, they land Anthony Davis. It felt
now the CP3 one is definitely the most sketchy thing I ever seen NBA do. Or the NBA did a lot of sketchy shit, but that's up there.
Fast forward to 2019, same city, different name. The Pelicans traded away Anthony Davis to the Lakers. The package was solid. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Pitt. But just before that deal, they jumped to the top pick with only a 6% shot. Then they drafted Zion Williamson, the most hyped prospect since LeBron. Once again, the timing looked just a little too clean. Then 2025 happened. Dallas flipped Luka in a wild 3-team trade and ended up with Anthony Davis. Months later, the Mavericks, with less than a 2% chance, won the lottery. Now everyone expects them to pick Cooper Flag. Fans lost their minds. A team.
That shit rigged. That shit rigged as fuck.
Trades away a generational player and immediately lands another potential one. That's how conspiracy threads are born. Despite all this noise, the NBA insists everything's legit. The lottery process is private, with witnesses, media, and auditors making sure it's fair. Still,
auditors, my ass.
3 stars out, 3 top picks in. Odds low, suspicions high. Pete Maravich is predicted his death. Back in 1974, Pete was just 26
Nigga, what?
and still lighting up the league.
Nigga, what?
An insane score.
He a psychic?
He casually dropped a quote that's haunted basketball fans ever since. He said he didn't want to play 10 years in the league and die of a heart attack at age 40. That's exactly what happened. He played exactly 10 seasons in the NBA, from 1970 to 1980. Then on January 5th, 1988, while playing a pickup game in Pasadena, he collapsed and died. Just like that, he was 40 years old. The cause? A rare heart defect. Turns out he was born without a left coronary artery. His right artery had enlarged over time to try and do double duty, but it eventually gave out. No one ever caught it. Not a single.
Damn.
This guy played a decade of professional basketball, and no one knew he had a missing artery. It's one of the most unsettling coincidences in sports history. That quote wasn't something dug up years later either. It was published at the time. The journalist who interviewed him remembered it clearly.
Yo.
And confirmed it after Pete's death. He couldn't believe it either.
What, the doctor never look at this nigga heart?
but no one expected that offhand comment to come true. And yet, here we are. He's still remembered as one of the most talented guards to ever play. But this one moment, this one line has kept...
No, he had that known. Cause no way he just say heart attack and shit. He gotta know something's up with his heart. It's no way. It's
the story alive in a whole different way. Basketball legend with a tragic twist. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, the Big Three was planned years prior. This move didn't just shake the NBA, it redefined it. But it didn't happen overnight. LeBron James, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh all came into the league in 2000.
Yeah, niggas owe Chris Bosh just an apology. I've been seeing these D Wade. I've been seeing these D Wade interviews. Niggas owe Chris Bosh an apology. But LeBron, he know greatest wing, number 2 player all time right there.
Then came the 2008 Olympics. That's where they really started cooking up the idea of playing together someday. While they
definitely planned that shit ahead of time. I don't know about how long.
Clearing salary cap space way back in 2006. By 2010,
I don't know about that long.
Around $46 million ready to drop. That's enough room for 3 max contracts. And Riley was ready to.
It's like conspiracy / urban legend.
He re-signed with the Heat on July 7th. Bosh followed on the 10th, choosing Miami over Chicago. And then the broadcast heard around the world. LeBron announced on July 8th that he'd be
fucking LeBron had the funniest fucking announcement of what team. That whole interview shit was hilarious. Unless you're a Cleveland fan.
$500,000 for charity, but also raised.
Can't believe this nigga had a whole special to say he's gonna leave his hometown team.
On July 9th, at a full-on party inside the American Airlines.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Nigga got 2.
What followed? 4 straight finals appearances and 2 championships. That core didn't just win, they changed how teams think. Superstars teaming up wasn't new, but this was next level. The Heat's Big Three weren't built by trades or luck. It was a plan, a long, deliberate, player-driven plan that rewrote the rules of team building.
Nigga stole Cleveland and the Raptors' best player.
It's repeated like a motivational poster, but it's not the full truth. Back in 1978, Jordan was just 15 and trying out for the varsity squad at Laney High School. He was 5'10", which sounds decent, but compared to his friend Harvest Leroy Smith, who was 6'7", Jordan looked small.
6'7" and as a sophomore? The fuck?
The team had 10 returning seniors.
Nigga, what?
Anyone knew. Smith got the nod, mostly because they needed size, not because he was more skilled. Jordan didn't get cut from basketball. He was placed on junior varsity, which was totally normal for sophomores. But yeah, he was furious. He went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. That moment stuck with him. Instead of sulking, he turned it into fuel. He started playing like a maniac.
I'm about to say, like, nigga started crying.
Non-stop practice. Over the next year, he shot.
Make the goat sound soft as shit.
Sharpened every part of his game.
Fucking growth spurt help.
Junior year rolled around, he made varsity and turned into a star. What gets lost in the overhyped version of the story.
He started working.
Wasn't some shocking failure. It was just a teenager being told to wait his turn. But that wait lit a fire. The idea that he was cut from the team has become legendary. It's used to prove that hard work beats rejection. And sure, the story works for that. But the truth is, he wasn't thrown out. He just didn't skip the line. And that small moment, more than the myth, is what really shaped his drive. Clyde Drexler's grew up playing.
Okay, nigga paid a little bit more work.
Dream of dunking on a regulation hoop. Clyde was out there flying at an extra foot higher. As a kid, the neighborhood.
What's this nigga vert?
Wasn't regulation. It was set at 11 feet. And instead of complaining, Drexler just went with it. He said that once he finally pulled off a dunk on that thing, dunking on a standard 10-footer felt like a layup.
Nigga, why did he can't move that shit down?
Serious advantage. He didn't just jump higher, he made it look easy. That's where the nickname Clyde the Glide comes in. His dunks weren't just powerful, they were smooth, like he was floating. You don't get that kind of elevation and grace without putting in some weird reps. And 11 feet, that's weird. Most players.
Is that how you get cold? 11-foot hoop?
With official rims and predictable conditions. Drexler basically trained like he was playing on expert mode before he ever set foot in a real game. That 1 foot difference forced him to develop explosive power, better timing, and more confidence in the air. And it paid off big time. He didn't become one of the best finishers in the league just by accident. That backyard rim probably did
help a nigga learn some shit about his bag.
Program, it made 10 feet feel like nothing. So while other kids were slapping the backboard and feeling proud, Clyde was already soaring past that, gliding through the air like it was no big deal.
Nigga must have been jumping his ass off.
Clyde did, Wilt Chamberlain's 20,000 claim. This one might be the most infamous stat ever dropped.
My nigga dropping historic numbers on and off the court, my nigga.
Ball player, and it wasn't even about basketball. In 1991,
Shit, he was getting.
his autobiography
He had a lot
casually
of
stated
ball. This nigga was balling.
1,000 women, not 2,000, 20,000. That breaks down
How many?
to about 1.2 women a day, every day, starting from when he was 15 years old. He based the number off an observation by his friend.
Oh, this is a nigga just boosting his shit. There is no way this nigga Matima chicks is that high. Like it's not accurate. This nigga's just saying shit.
3 different women over 10 days. Chamberlain multiplied from there. The public reaction, predictably chaotic. It came during the AIDS crisis. In a claim like
Oh, this nigga was fucking spreading shit.
But Wilt insisted he wasn't bragging. He said he wasn't trying to flex.
Oh, this nigga.
Honest about his life. He described sex as a major part of his life. Almost like
Damn, that nigga's.
his words, not mine. Later on,
That nigga was just another day.
not in the numbers. but in
Fuck another bitch, another day.
1999 interview, he said he realized being with one woman many times brought more value than constantly chasing new ones. It was one of the few times he showed a shift in perspective on the subject. Now, the math is the problem. Keeping up that pace while also playing full NBA seasons, traveling, practicing, and doing media feels more fiction than fact. No known kids, no lawsuits. Just the legend. Whether it's accurate or not, the claim
Nigga will have to have.
larger than life.
There's no way this nigga is like 0 for 20,000 on fucking bitches, and he fucked 20,000 bitches, and he probably fucked some of them multiple times. There's no way this nigga has the greatest pullout game in history.
He was dominant. Off the court, stories like this made sure people never stopped talking. 20,000. Even his stats had stats. Michael Jordan's treatment of Kwame Brown. This one's a brutal chapter. In 2001, Brown came into the league straight from high school as the top pick. He was
Kwame Brown.
Michael Jordan, who was
Nigga.
the Wizards president of basketball.
I know how ass this nigga was.
Had reportedly wanted to flip that pick for Elton Brand, but the owner, Abe Pollan, shut it down. That left Brown stuck on the roster and stuck with expectations he didn't sign up for. When Jordan came out of retirement to join
Nigga was the
Wizards
first
as a player,
pick, wasn't he?
things went from bad to worse. Multiple accounts say he came down hard on Brown, not tough love hard, more like humiliating. Former assistant coach John Bach said Jordan would berate Brown in front of everyone, sometimes reducing him to tears. And yeah,
Damn.
Jordan was way out of line. Brown himself later said that Jordan brought in older physical players during practice just to rough him up. He described the sessions as being designed to beat the crap out of me. That's not exactly player development. It's closer to hazing. Publicly, Jordan didn't hold back either. He criticized the team often, and Brown...
The nigga old Jordan. I'm not gonna lie. Jordan as a player is cool. Jordan as a person is a
basically
dick.
making it known that he didn't trust the guys he was playing with. The pressure crushed any chance for Brown to grow. He was young, raw, and suddenly under the microscope with one of the most intense...
Nigga said he was being hazed by a 40-year-old.
Years later, Brown spoke out about that time, pointing to it as a major reason his career never found steady ground. That pick was more than just a bad fit. It was a setup for failure.
That and the nigga had terrible hands. Fuck.
McGee's pointy delts. This might be one of the most unintentionally hilarious urban legends the NBA's ever produced.
Too
According to a
strong.
Reddit tale from 2018.
The fuck's that
From
mean?
an old Slam magazine, Maggetti's shoulders were so dense, so sharp, that defenders allegedly avoided reaching in because they didn't want to jam their fingers. Yes, apparently the man's deltoids were classified as a workplace hazard. Now, Maggetti was built like a comic book character. 6'6", somewhere between 225 and 250 pounds, depending on who you ask, and all of it muscle. He was one of those guys who looked like he did...
This one of those dudes you can't fight. There's no fighting. Nigga, you're fucked. I'm not gonna lie. You gotta like, I don't know, pull like a flash or like a gun or something. I don't know. You can't fight this nigga for sure.
Curls between possessions. His arms had their own area code. This wasn't just gym hype either. He was relentless in the paint, and his game was all about driving through contact and getting to the line. Over 30% of his points came from free throws, and he had one of the highest foul drawing rates in the league. The myth adds to his legacy. He wasn't a superstar, but his build, his style, and now his alleged delt-based deterrence strategy have made him a cult figure.
Nigga played the wrong fucking sport.
But in a league that's had players injure themselves, sneezing or eating too much, a guy turning shoulders into weapons, honestly, doesn't feel that far off. Larry Bird's left-handed game. On February 14th, 1986, he pulled
Play the
off
game
one of the
left-handed.
most absurd flexes in NBA history. Facing the Portland Trail Blazers, Bird, very much a right-handed shooter, decided to spend a chunk of the game going left. Not because he had to, just because he wanted to. Before the game, he reported...
No, that's a flex. No, that's a flex.
For the Lakers. That alone is a wild statement. But then he went out and dropped 47 points.
47 on the offhand.
In overtime. Just casually handed the Blazers an L while working on his offhand. Out of his 21 made field goals, 10 were with his left. He went 3 for 3 from deep, as if to say, I could torture you normally, but let's spice things up. This wasn't...
Damn, this is how you know he's playing ass niggas, man.
And went to overtime. He was actually competing, and he still chose to mess with the sliders. Bird wasn't doing this for a stunt. He was just that competitive and that bored. He needed a challenge, so he gave himself one. The performance has lived on, not just because of the numbers, but because of what it represented. Bird's confidence wasn't ego. It was backed by ridiculous skill and relentless execution. Most players would be lucky to have a 47-point triple-double.
Larry Legend. They recording this shit on a toaster.
That's not just talent. That's a different level of psychological warfare. Hakeem versus Vernon Maxwell. This wasn't your average...
Hakeem slapped.
It was almost a prison yard incident with a scoreboard. In 1993, during a game against the Seattle Supersonics, Maxwell was already fuming at halftime over his performance. He was letting it all out in the locker room, and Hakeem had seen enough. Hakeem confronted him and told him to stop whining and get it together. Maxwell responded like you'd expect Vernon Maxwell to respond, by running his mouth. Bad idea. Hakeem slapped him. Not a tap. A full-on, sit-you-down slap that left Maxwell in...
Oh, look, these niggas going crazy.
And Maxwell completely lost it. He reportedly tried to grab something to retaliate, and it took teammates, coaches, and security to stop things from escalating into full chaos. Maxwell's version of events makes it even wilder. He's talked about it in interviews, saying he wanted to stab Hakeem after the slap. Police...
You trade this nigga.
Not your average halftime adjustment. Somehow...
You must have slapped the dog shit out of him.
Came out in the second half and helped the Rockets win 86-81. That's the part that's so insane. No suspension, no benching. Just two teammates throwing hands in the locker room, then hitting clutch shots together 20 minutes later like nothing happened. This wasn't some minor disagreement. It was an eruption of ego, emotion, and frustration. But it didn't destroy the team. That year, the Rockets weren't just talented. They were volatile, intense, and maybe just crazy enough to win. That altercation, just part of the journey. Biggie's I Got
That the year they won.
About Anthony Mason. For years, it was just a slick, cinematic...
Fucking Biggie's getting this.
A tale of suspense, sex, and improvisation. The song walks through a wild night where Biggie hooks up with a woman, only for her boyfriend, an unnamed New York Knicks player, to walk in. Biggie fakes a robbery, ties her up, pulls a gun, and takes the guy's cash before disappearing into the night. The track became instant hip-hop folklore, and for nearly 2 decades, fans speculated about who the mysterious Nick was. Then in 2016,
nigga got robbed by Biggie.
Dropped a bomb on highly questioned, named Anthony Mason. Later, Diddy co-signed it on The Breakfast Club.
Oh, Diddy co-sign don't sound too good.
Barbershop debates. Mason was known for his bruising style on the court and his nightlife reputation off it. So the
he was hanging with Diddy like that.
Hearing it tied to one of rap's most detailed stories, that pushed it into legend territory. The overlap of two iconic...
Nigga got robbed by Biggie.
Just made the
and his bitch stole.
Whether every detail in the song...
That's tough. I will definitely ask for a trade.
Even Diddy admitted there may have been some creative license involved. But the Mason name...
Diddy admitted, huh?
...narrative ever since. What started as a punchline in a story rap ended up linking two very different icons forever. Whether fact or stylized fiction, the mystery around that Knicks player gave the track staying power, and Mason, knowingly or not, became part of rap history. Kevin Love's hand injury in 2012. Officially, he broke the 3rd and 4th metacarpals on his right hand doing knuckle push-ups. That was...
I'm not gonna lie. Kevin Love on the T-Wolves is his most forgettable career in the world. Nigga, I didn't know this nigga broke his hand in first place. And I was watching basketball around this time for sure.
It immediately set off a wave of side eyes and internet speculation. Because let's be honest, how many guys are out here shattering their shooting
who really cared
Love called
about like the T-Wolves best player getting hurt?
To his training regimen and kept a straight face through every interview. No slip-ups, no elaboration, just yep, push-ups got me. Meanwhile, the public reaction was exactly what you'd expect. Fans and message boards lit up with alternate theories. The wildest and most persistent, that he punched a fridge after catching his girlfriend cheating. That version, of course, came with zero confirmation. No teammates backing it.
Niggas is saying shit.
Insiders leaking it. Just classic online rumor energy. It spread fast, but never went anywhere legit. No reporter ever nailed it down, and Love never cracked. So what we're left with is a tale that sounds just strange enough to be real, but suspicious enough to feel like a cover. No team wants to say their franchise guy injured himself in a raid, but also, what franchise wants to hurt himself doing something as avoidable as push-ups? The only confirmed version.
Nigga, I don't know. You even hurt your hands doing push-ups.
Believe it or not, hasn't really changed its official status. It's one of those
any type of push-ups
might never fully surface. What did surface? A broken hand, 6 to 8 weeks out, and a whole lot of confused headlines.
They was gonna lose either way.
Almost Knicks moment. In 1950, the Tri-Cities Blackhawks drafted him 3rd overall. The problem was, Cousy had no interest in playing for them. He wanted to stay in the Northeast, and he wasn't exactly thrilled about the money either. So he straight up
Iowa. I was trying to figure out where the fuck they were at. Illinois.
Chicago Stags. But
Tri-City.
Before the season even started. Classic early NBA chaos. With the Stags gone, the league had to figure out what to do with their player. So they held a dispersal.
Northeast is such a random location. He's gotta be from there.
Zaslavsky, Andy Phillip, and Bob Cousy. The Knicks were in that lottery. They had a legit shot at landing Cousy and rewriting their history. Instead, the Boston Celtics got him. That part still stands in hindsight.
Yeah.
Funnier,
Figures gonna get to that.
Didn't even want Cousy at first. He had his eyes on other players and wasn't sold on.
Nigga, this nigga don't. This nigga, hold up. This nigga don't look like a hooper. Like, I think I could beat this nigga 1v1 easily. Easily. This is like regular ass nigga at the fucking wreck.
Cousy at first. He had his eyes on other players and wasn't sold on Cousy's flash. But once Cousy hit the court, that doubt disappeared. He went on to rack up 13 All-Star appearances and became one of the greatest
nigga
in basketball. Meanwhile,
nigga,
we were left wondering what
I could do that, nigga.
Bizarre sliding door magic the NBA's full of. The star nearly lands on one team, ends up on another.
And I heard the nigga couldn't shoot.
History. If that lottery ball had bounced a different way, Cousy could have been dazzling at the Garden instead of driving the Celtics dynasty. Instead, New York missed their shot, and Boston.
We guys behind the back shit.
Origin.
I'm not doing shit.
Because people still manage
I like that shit getting them open.
And trivia nights. First off, his actual first name, Anthony, wasn't some clerical error or southern remix of Anthony. His mother, Faye, picked it on purpose. She named him after a classmate she admired. So no, it wasn't a hospital typo.
Kind of weird thing to name your kid after.
It that way and stuck with it. Now, the nickname. This part's a little more common. His grandmother Louise used to call him Pretty, but with her thick southern accent, what came out sounded more like Penny, and that's what everyone else started calling him. Pretty turned into Penny, and just like that, a basketball nickname icon was born. It wasn't a brand. That
southern slang.
A sweet slip of the tongue from grandma that turned into a household name. Together, those names, Anthony and Penny, ended up defining one of the smoothest point guards to ever step on a court. You see Penny, and you think of that #1 jersey, silky crossovers, and those unforgettable commercials.
Penny Hardaway.
But behind the glitz,
Hardaway
with a unique name and a grandma who accidentally gave him one of the best nicknames in NBA history, Tony Braxton and the Mavericks breakup. This one's been floating around NBA circles since the mid-90s, like a cat from a slow jam. The story goes that R&B icon Tony Braxton somehow broke up the Dallas Mavericks' 3 J's, Jason Kidd, Jim Jackson, and Jamal Maverick.
These bitches getting trains ran on her. It's just Tony Braxton for the streets. I don't know. It sound like it. It sound like it.
The rumor, she had plans with Kidd, skipped out, and showed up with Jackson instead. Cue the drama, cue the tension, cue the team falling apart. Except, not really. Jason Kidd has flat out denied the whole thing. Said he never met her, not once. According to him, the story had a mind of its own. Jim Jackson backed that up too, saying the real issues had nothing to do with anyone singing ballads in a silk dress. Mashburn chimed in as well, saying it wasn't about a love triangle. It was about ego, youth, and poor leadership. And that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, I'd say one hoe can't break up the whole NBA team.
No veteran voice in the locker.
I don't know. Listen to Tony Braxton, but I'm just saying.
Fan expectation, and you've got a classic implosion, not a heartbreak saga, but the Braxton angle stuck. Probably because it's juicier than players had chemistry issues. It turned into a legend, and legends don't really need evidence. They just need a good story. In the end, the Mavericks didn't lose their core over a singer. They lost it the old-fashioned way, with mismatched priorities and too many alphas, not enough adults. Michael Jordan's golf, gambling stories, You've probably heard whispers, but the Richard Esquinas tale is the one that really put a dollar sign on the habit. In 1993, Esquinas, a businessman and amateur golfer,
What the fuck?
where he claimed Jordan racked up
Look like a Russian hitman.
$1,000 in golf debt. That's not a typo. According to Esquinas, Jordan negotiated it down to $300,000, paid $200,000, and then stopped. Just ghosted the final chunk. Jordan didn't deny the gambling. He admitted to playing with Esquinas, but said the debt never went past $300,000. He also questioned the guy's motives. Basically said, "Cool story, bro. Nice book sales." And honestly, he might have had a point, because it didn't stop there. Charles Barkley once shared that Jordan would bet $100,000 on a single putt. Not a game, a putt. In another game...
Damn, that nigga was not trying to wait.
Because Jordan was focused on the much bigger fish on the next hole. Comedian Cedric the Entertainer said playing golf with Jordan meant you better bring 10 grand just to keep up hole to hole. Jordan's own explanation, he said he pushed...
Fuck that.
But he did.
Nigga, I don't play enough golf to do that.
A competitive outlet. On 60 Minutes, he even asked, "Is it compulsive?" and then answered himself like, "Well, depends how you look at it." According to him, it never threatened his finances or family.
Then you do got bread.
Dollar amounts are insane. But the bigger takeaway, Jordan wasn't just competing in the NBA. He was out here trying to win everything, even on the greens, even if it cost 6 figures. Earl Monroe's own goal conspiracy. Yep, this one's actually true, and it's one of the weirder footnotes.
Nigga scoring on it. Fuck no.
1977. The Knicks were up on the Trailblazers. Things were winding.
Oh, they got it on camera. Okay.
Monroe casually launched a shot into his own basket, right as time.
Oh no, I had seen that. That was an accident.
The Knicks still technically won the game. 108.
That nigga scored shaving. It's like a motherfucker.
Those backwards bucket brought the final margin to 4, meaning the Blazers covered. People who had money on the Knicks, not thrilled. Naturally, this triggered alarms. The NBA launched an investigation to determine whether Monroe had just...
Hell yeah, nigga.
Some lucky gamblers. His explanation, he forgot which basket he was standing at, also claimed...
That nigga had money on it.
...ended already, which is not great. But it was the 70s, and Monroe was a fading star stuck on a middling team with a bunch of tired legs from the last...
I thought they about to say he was off a coke.
The FBI was already sniffing around.
Nah, that nigga was cheating game.
Had claimed to be working with a Knicks player to shave points. They tried to get him to place a bet, but the guy always backed out, making excuses. Nothing ever materialized. No arrests, no hard proof, just whispers. In the end, Monroe was clear. No suspension, no fine, just a very strong...
Nigga need a little bit extra bread. It's end of his career.
Has a ring with the Knicks, and also has the rare distinction of being investigated for point shaving because he dunked on himself. Eric Gordon played Michael Jordan's son in Space Jam. The Eric Gordon in Space Jam, not the NBA player. This rumor's been bouncing around for years.
I was about to say, like, didn't he beat this nigga in high school too? Damn, I'm gonna say this nigga really Jordan's son.
And apparently that's all some people need to go full conspiracy mode. But no, the kid who played Marcus Jordan in Space Jam is a totally different Eric Gordon. The actor Eric Gordon has a few credits, including Space Jam and a couple of lesser-known shows. The basketball, Eric Gordon, yeah, the one who's spent over a decade splashing threes for the Clippers, Rockets, and Suns, has never stepped foot on a movie set, unless someone filmed him walking into a game. The confusion's understandable, though. Same name, same birth year, in Space Jam being the pop...
Oh, they got the same birth year, too? Okay, that's a little bit...
The dots wrong, and never stopped running with it. Even the Los Angeles Times had to write a whole clarification piece on it. So no, the NBA Eric Gordon wasn't acting as a kid in a blockbuster with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. He was probably in Indiana, working on his jumper. The Eric Gordon in Space Jam, just a child actor who shares a name with a future pro. One who probably hears about it every time someone Googles too fast. Wilt Chamberlain, volleyball.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened. After retiring...
Oh, this nigga Wilt Chamberlain is just
Chamberlain decided
doing shit.
One sport wasn't enough.
What the fuck?
Into volleyball, and not just as a side hustle. He went all in. In 1975, he helped found the International Volleyball Association.
Nigga don't gotta jump.
But very real professional co-ed league. He wasn't just a figurehead. He was the president.
Why that look hard for a second? Pause.
And yes, a player. He suited up for the Southern California Bangers and the Seattle Smashers, because of course he did. Those names are very real. His volleyball skills, raw in spots, his passing and setting weren't exactly poetry, but his spiking, that was terrifying. Imagine trying to block Wilt.
Bro, this nigga is probably so fucking high up.
To survive. But Wilt didn't stop at just playing. He used his fame to give volleyball some much needed shine. He sponsored events.
Look at this nigga, man. This nigga's a fucking behemoth.
In a country where volleyball rarely gets attention,
look at this shit.
People look, and the payoff, He was inducted into the International
How do you stop
Volleyball
that?
Hall of Fame. That's not an honorary nod. They recognized him for his real influence on the sport's growth in the U.S. That puts Wilt in rare air, someone honored at the highest level in 2 professional sports. So yeah, after
Nigga blocking shit, he don't gotta jump.
Wilt spent the next chapter of his athletic life jumping over volleyball nets. Not content with just being great, he wanted to change the game. Again, the Matt Barnes and DeMarcus Cousins nightclub brawl. This one got messy, but let's clear up the myth. On December 5th, 2016, after a Kings-Knicks game, Barnes and Cousins hit up Avenue nightclub in Manhattan, and that's where things spiraled. According to reports, in the civil lawsuit...
I'm not gonna lie, this sounds like a bad combination. Like, Matt Barnes and Boogie... Like, Boogie Cousins sound like it's gonna be some bad shit. It just don't...
And when her boyfriend Myron Powell tried to intervene, Cousins allegedly punched him.
Fuck that nigga up.
And continuing to assault Powell after he hit the ground. That's the story that made headlines. Now here's where the legend kicks in. People started whispering.
It sounded like the nigga got jumped by 2 NBA players. I don't know, gang. Is bitch worth that? I don't know if bitch worth that. It gotta be my wife or some shit.
Fall for Cousins, like he stepped in legally to protect his teammate. But let's not pretend this is a mafia flick. Barnes pled guilty to disorderly conduct and did community service. Cousins, meanwhile, was named in the lawsuit, but didn't face criminal charges. That's not taking the fall. That's one guy ending up in court while the other one wasn't charged. No court documents, police statements, or credible reports ever backed up the idea that Barnes threw himself on the sword for Cousins. It's more likely that Barnes got more attention because he's Barnes. Volatile reputation, long history of on and off court chaos, and a knack for getting headlines. Bottom line, both were there, both were involved, both were sued. But legally speaking, there's no proof Barnes shielded Cousins. That part's just urban legend smoke, not legal fire.
Shielded Cousins is crazy.
I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Alright. Let me go to the next one. Oh, not this. Alright, I'm about to go to the next thing. Close this out real quick.